my apologies. You should see it now on YouTube. Gosh, I'm sorry, guys. I had no idea that you guys couldn't see what I was talking about there. So let's pull that back, rewind that back for a second. Thank you for letting me know. My apologies. So yeah, what are we looking at here on the S&P? I'll go back and talk about those supply and demand zones here in just a moment, and we'll go back to the hourly chart that I had up earlier. Again, on the YouTube side of things, it looked like it was going, but I'm trying to use these scheduled events now, and this is kind of a new process for us. So I appreciate everybody's patience and bearing with us as we kind of run into these scenarios that we've not seen before. That being said, we've got Nvidia in the mix, and we can also take a look at that CRM trade plan. I know we did that one pretty recently. Anyway, thank you guys so much. My apologies for the technical difficulties. Again, there was a new little button, I guess, now that I'm trying to schedule these events so folks that are checking our YouTube channel can see when they're happening. I tried to start it that way, and apparently that created some new scenario that I hadn't run into yet. So anyway, let's dive in here. So looking at S&P futures here, again, overall making higher lows, but lower highs as well. Some things that I'm noticing here. So again, like I said, coming to an inflection point a little bit here on these higher time frames. We just developed this pretty large demand zone here recently. We're still a little bit overextended from some of the more static moving averages. A couple of my favorites, the 200 and 333 SMAs. So, still a little bit, I would say, overbought potentially. If you're thinking about those as kind of key levels that we would use to continue to the upside, as the same way I do. But looking at things here on the hourly chart, we are catching up to those. In fact, we're trying to hold that 333 here this morning. Nice little confluence in here on NTS with that buying pressure also in a demand zone. So, could see the market hold this and try to push this morning. It'd be very interesting to see. And we'll check back on this before we wrap up where this hourly candle closes. I would like to see it close above the 333. This one kind of closed right on it. I don't really quite think that that's a confirmed break below. My one concern here, again, going into pre-market for potential further pullback is, as we're trying to reclaim this 333, it does look like we're struggling, and it does look like we're rejecting a little bit now that we are below it. So just keep that in mind as we start to plan our trades and trade our plans, as we always say here. All right, so let's do some quick trade plan recaps. These are the member selected tickers we did over the weekend. Apple made moves without us yesterday, but we are seeing a potential re-entry opportunity here this morning. Another thing that I really like about this re-entry opportunity, at least with the way it's currently sitting, is this 333 SMA right here, sitting with a really nice confluence right at our call entry level that we're back testing. So keep an eye on this. Again, as long as we're holding this 172.29 to 173.03 range, and that 333 SMA, I think we could see Apple continue to try to push back to the upside. That being said, overall NTS bearish on it at the moment, with the exception of, again, these SMAs. And we did get this crossover here yesterday, which is a bullish sign. So it will be very interesting to see if we can't flip this ribbon first and get things moving back to the upside and start to test some of this selling pressure that we're seeing overhead now. But got through all of our price targets and then some, pulled back down, rejected PT3, and just continued to pull back with that really kind of odd dump going right into the close. I'm not really sure where that came from, or why it was triggered like that, but I think it was honestly probably a really good buy the dip opportunity. Could have been a shakeout before trying to get out anybody that bought calls up here before they try to push things up for perhaps another leg higher. So we'll keep an eye on that. Tesla, we also did over the weekend member selected tickers. For those who are in the Discord, those are in the options watch list. One of the benefits of our Discord community is you get these additional trade plans that I'm not doing here on the YouTube stream. So if you haven't checked out the Xtrades Discord or our web app, please feel free to check those out. My homie Chris can certainly post some links that would be helpful to get you guys there quickly and easily. So what are we looking at here on Tesla overall? It's holding the bullish trend right here at the key buying pressure on NTS, however, dealing with some issues here overhead. So a little bit of a conflicted setup. However, if it breaks back above the call entry, we probably will see it continue back over, flip everything back to the bullish side. SMA is still a little bit bearish. That's a little bit of a factor, I'd say, but we are over them. They are a lagging indicator, more static indicator, so they will take a little longer to catch up with sort of the overall momentum and trend here. So not totally abnormal seeing these still upside down while we're already looking at overall bullish setups here on NTS, and overall holding our area of buying pressure between the call entry and stop loss average down levels. So keep an eye on this one. It's definitely had some struggles with this 174.38 level there yesterday. That's kind of where we topped out. We saw that break already once this morning with this little bit of a pullback we're seeing, and some of this may be folks adjusting for in anticipation of FOMC and Jerome Powell's press conference tomorrow. The price action is going to be a little bit weird and a little bit tricky. We already saw some of that yesterday. I expect kind of more of the same today, lots of fake outs and stuff like that, but could also see, again, people adjusting their exposure going into that big catalyst coming up tomorrow. So keep this on watch. I really like an average down opportunity the way things are currently sitting here on the 15-minute with that 200 giving some confluence down there. So you could, if you're in this and you're kind of getting pulled back into the red here a little bit, again, plan is still valid. Wait to see what happens when we test that stop loss average down level. That could be a great opportunity to adjust your cost per contract on this particular trade if you're in a sticky spot with this Tesla trade plan. Chewy, really kind of bizarre price action with this one. Market was moving kind of decently up. I think Chewy's at an area where I would say it's a value position at this point. So certainly if you're thinking about long-term investments, I like this down in the high 15s to mid 16 area. But we are seeing this breakdown below the put entry level, back test and rejection here this morning, heading toward PT1. So things kind of moving as expected. NTS really kind of fully bearish on this one still at the moment. 200 also just crossed back below the 333, so that's a bit bearish as well. Nvidia, this is the one apparently everybody wants to hear about, especially after their I forget what that thing was called last night, their discussion of their new chips and all that, which did not seem to be a major bullish catalyst. In fact, if anything, we're seeing some bearishness kind of sneak in here. We did this on last Thursday's live stream. Did get a little bit of a fake out to the upside here, but overall pulled back below, consolidated. We talked about this kind of double setup here. It's similar spots on the 5-minute and the 15-minute, where we kind of have both SMAs right there kind of in the way, adding some additional selling pressure in addition to what Neptune's showing. But we had that confluence there for a little bit where they were literally dead on top of each other, and we were back testing that as resistance, and not surprised to see those rejections. Great setup. You don't even need all of Neptune for that. If you just have a couple of SMAs on your chart, you look for that 200, 333, same spot, same time, price action testing right there at that very same moment. That's a great rejection opportunity. This adds conviction to that, in my opinion. So we're now seeing PT1 tested there. After hours, we're below PT1 and have selling pressure there just overhead. So I would certainly move your stops up if you're currently in NVIDIA puts to PT1. If we get a break back above that, I think that's a good time to go ahead and lock those profits. But we at least as of now, it looks like we should continue down to potentially test a couple of these lower price targets. I'll be very surprised if we don't at least see PT2 on this one to the downside. Amazon, we also did last Thursday. Let's see what's going on with this one. Yeah, I remember this actually. This was a good setup, and I'm really surprised that it came just shy of getting to our price target, or even within a reasonable range of it, in my personal opinion. So not really sure why this got held back where it did. It's certainly one that I'll go back and look at as far as my Amazon chart. Maybe there was a key level there that I just have missed somehow. I'm, again, human, not totally perfect yet. But again, probably a very interesting rejection there, kind of just shy again of that reasonable range of PT1. However, it was a pretty quick move to the upside, so hopefully folks just, based on a percentage gain standpoint, after we saw this break above, nice back test right on that call entry level, NTS kind of full bullish and hitting the long signal on that candle as well. Shot pretty much straight up from there, so hopefully that was a decent enough move for folks to lock profit and move their stops up, because since then Amazon has pulled back to the downside and looks to be confirming a break below our put entry level here pre-market, and is likely heading toward this 172.02 level. We do have a bigger picture ascending trend line down here. That'll be interesting to see what happens, especially if we get a confluence test with it somewhere. I'd say probably around tomorrow. It looks like potentially testing that even as we go into FOMC might be interesting to try. Amazon, it could even show some bullishness despite what Jay Powell says or does, but that's unlikely. That might be a scenario where the catalyst, the news, outplays the technicals, which is what we would typically lean toward. IWM, this one gave us all targets really kind of on day one. It dumped shortly after we did this trade plan Thursday morning, dumped through our put entry super fast, back tested PT1, and then continued on down for all targets hit and then some by the time it hit low of the day there last Thursday. We've since come back. Again, this 333, 200 SMA here on the 15-minute, super bearish right now. Nice rejection right there, pushing things back to the downside and back below. So again, 200, 333, nice, very handy indicators, I would say, to use even if you don't have the full Neptune system. Those are, a couple of SMAs that I personally like to watch on a lot of different time frames. Chris and I have been talking about the 333 a lot. He was kind of, I think, skeptical at first, like, where did you pull that random number from? But I think we've seen enough examples since he and I started talking about that one that he's probably now a believer. The 333 SMA. All right, so that's all of our recaps, although I think we did have one more, actually. I think CD asked for CRM. Let's take a look at that. That's right now. So CRM, let's see. Yeah, I mean, so this one played out for PT1 and then some. We pulled back above, so you should have stopped out for profit likely yesterday after getting the entry back here on Friday, but this is one that we did on the Tuesday live stream. But here we saw yesterday going into close, catching that put entry level there as resistance and rejecting back down, coming back to PT1. Only difference now is that in the process of doing that back test of that put entry level, did flip things bullish on Neptune as far as the flag goes, and it was a pretty decent flip, I'd say fairly convincing. So I think if it can flip this ribbon back bullish, we could see it try to recover off of PT1, but it seemed this is also one that, generally speaking, I'd say probably focus on regular trading hours. And the reason why I say that, somebody was asking me this question recently. If you see stuff like this, we get these little hash marks that are kind of just all over the place, and you see this example that I circled for the person I was trying to explain the difference between extended trading hours and regular trading hours. Generally speaking, I gravitate toward extended trading hours. If there's data available and it's good data, I want to use it. This is not good data, though. When you see this kind of stuff where you have these little hash marks all over the place, if you're looking at an extended hours chart, let's say the hourly, for example, this could show as like a wick on a 1 hour chart and look like it's part of a fully developed candle when it's really not. Just kind of these weird little hash marks that you see during extended hours with some tickers. If you see that, my personal recommendation in general, but also with Neptune, switch to regular trading hours. And actually, now that we're looking at it, we're coming and testing a pretty nice confluence for a put entry, I would say. Well, that's also not where we're at right now, though. We're back down to PT1, aren't we? Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see where exactly CRM opens. However, that being said, if we get another test of this put entry level, I would use that. Sorry, I wish I could turn these off sometimes. Yeah, generally speaking, I like to have those risk reward ratios there, but sometimes they just get in the way of what I'm trying to talk about. Again, testing that put entry, key selling pressure on NTS as far as going into the close yesterday. So really going into the close, that's a fantastic setup to swing some puts. You're already at PT1 overnight. So anyway, that's CRM. Keep an eye on it. CD, I'd say stick to this exact same plan. I mean, we're kind of right in the range. Just use these levels, recycle them. See if we break below and get a back test of PT1 after open. If that does happen, I certainly would be expecting at the very least a test of this recent low, if not all the way down to PT2 this time. Again, this is one that I would really kind of lean toward regular trading hours versus extended trading hours, just based on, again, these weird little glitch in the matrix candles that can throw things off a little bit. All right, so let's get to some new trade plans. I think we can hammer through probably at least a couple. Here this morning, I did see, let's see, CRM. We talked about NVIDIA, and again, that trade plan's kind of, both of those are already in effect. So again, apologies for, as I'm reading back through this, that I was kind of just talking without sharing much, or talking really kind of only in our Discord and not on the YouTube. I will be mindful about how to get this thing set up moving forward, which is, I think I can really kind of start the stream first and then kind of hit the go button after the fact when I'm using these scheduled streams, which is a new thing. So, all right, let's get some new ticker requests. So yeah, we did the CRM recap. If you guys who are watching in the Discord have anything you want to chime in with, please feel free to chime in. I am looking in both places, but our YouTube friends, chat is open and available to you. Let's get some ticker requests and let's do some trade plans this morning. UNH came from our Discord group. So let's check UNH, United Health. Interestingly, kind of playing through some old trade plan levels. This is not one that I have looked at in quite some time. Not one I really trade that often personally, but that doesn't mean jack squat. A lot of times the ones that I don't trade, we wind up having fantastic trade plans for. But I do want to take a second just to kind of get my bearings from a support and resistance standpoint. For those of you kind of new to trading, if you're trying to figure out what do I need to learn first, what should I focus on to start to see these charts and understand what's happening the way that analysts and your peers are in the Xtrades community. My personal recommendation, and everybody's got their own approach when it comes to trading, but my personal recommendation, learn support and resistance as early on into your trading career as you possibly can. It's really, I think, kind of the foundation for developing, smart and actionable and consistent performing. Consistently? I'm going to go with consistently performing trade plans. Trying to figure out the grammar on that one for a sec there. All right, so real quick, I just want to take a look again, find support and resistance levels. I've not looked at this in a long time. I could just tell by the way some of the drawings were set up on it. I am definitely missing some levels in here. So let's just take a quick run through this, make sure everything still kind of adds up. Okay, I'm pretty happy with most of what I'm seeing here on the weekly chart. I'm sure it wasn't that long ago since I've looked at UNH, but it has been a while. There's another kind of back-to-back weekly level sitting right there. Yeah, that looks pretty good. All right, so let's real quick, as we kind of just talked about a second ago, make sure that we're looking at something that actually has, yeah, so we're actually seeing same thing that we just talked about, right? Those little hash mark candles. So for me, that then changes how I want to look at this. And versus 24-hour or the daily chart, I'm going to go with the daily chart versus the 24-hour because of those little wikis, those little well, not really wikis, that's not the right word. There's little hash mark, little tick marks, whatever you want to call those, that really can throw off the technical analysis of things if you are using extended hours and you see that kind of stuff. So anyway, hope that's some helpful advice, guidance, tips from your boy JTW. All right. Yeah, that's a pretty decent. Can we FNG or PLTR? Yeah. We can try to take a look at one of those for sure. The unknown reviews. I hope the unknown review you give for the live stream is a positive one. Even though we did have a little bit of a hiccup there this morning, which, again, kind of a new process. I appreciate everybody bearing with us as I get through my personal learning curve with how we can maximize and also effectively start these YouTube streams and getting things going a little bit more through this avenue. All right, so we got, yeah, something sitting right here as well. All right, anything else that really kind of sticks out like a sore thumb? Daily levels. Yeah, oh gosh, I'm on the fence on this one, but I'm gonna go with it. And I think we might have one more right in here. That looks like we were trying to hold going into the close yesterday. So it'll be interesting to see. We'll take a look at this, see where we're at pre-market, so we're planning from the appropriate spot. But all right, let's get over the 4-hour chart here. There's got to be something. This is a interesting little range for it to just not have any real support or resistance sitting in here. I think there is one. Actually, oops. I screwed myself up there, though. Yeah, there is something sitting right about there. Also, looks like we got a little bit of a uptrend here on the 4-hour that we might be losing, actually. So that's good to know. And definitely appears to be not confirmed yet, downtrend forming, but again, looks like we're breaking below that ascending trend line there. So we might be looking to go bearish on United Health here very near future, possibly today. The plan will tell us one way or the other. Yeah, I like this level. Okay, cool. That's good. Interesting little spot here. I think it's more like right here. Maybe just a nudge higher. Come on, there we go. Back down just a little bit. A couple of tight little levels there. And definitely have one sitting right here as well. And I think there's maybe one little, whoops, move that. One more little area I want to check on between this 4-hour and this weekly level. Yeah, right about there. All right. So let's start to look to plan this out. We'll fill in the gaps as we go. Let's get our indicators on. So just flip things bullish there on Neptune. Let's also check where we're sitting at here pre-market. Pretty much where we closed yesterday at, right around below this daily level. I think already, though, I know that, yeah. All right, so if we're going to play this for the downside, I like an entry below this 483.74. are not showing as clear as in Discord. Okay, thank you for letting me know that, Rockstar. We'll see if there's something I can do to make things a little bit more clear on the YouTube stream. I definitely valuable feedback. Thank you for that. All right, so going through this United Health trade plan here. Like this is our stop loss, average down like that as our entry. First price target, and again I said we would fill in the blanks. I think it's sitting right about yeah, I'm gonna go with this daily level down here actually at 477.88. I think that's actually a smart first price target right in the midst of where we could find some buying pressure from a Neptune standpoint. Second price target, kind of a tight PT1 and 2, but that happens sometimes. We saw that SPY plan, maybe even I think was that yesterday's plan. We had a tight PT1 and 2 to the upside and never was able to break over that PT2 to really give us the bigger move down to PT3, which is very similar to what I'm seeing here. Bigger move below 475 down to 470 for the downside of this trade plan. To the upside, where is the upside? There's a big gap to close overhead from a regular trading hour standpoint. Does not appear to be related to an earnings report, so that's interesting. We will want to keep this on watch actually, just as an unfilled gap. So how do we want to use that to our advantage becomes the question. I think I might have this 4-hour level just a little low. I think it's sitting right there actually. I'm really debating where to take an entry on this thing for the upside. There's a potential window of opportunity here to get it started and then test for the gap fill. The other concern I have though with the just running right up into that gap fill is these SMAs overhead that are coming down pretty hard. So this is what my gut's kind of telling me. I might be overzealous on this upside entry, so feel free to fact check me on this one. I think there is a tight but slightly different stop loss level in here as well for the call side. Yeah, I think we got a first target here. I think we're like equidistant. Well, you know what though? By the time we break, there's a good possibility that this downtrend was really the issue, trying to get through this area previously. I think I'd be surprised if we don't test this gap entry at the very least. If we do break back over our entry here at what 491.92, over that I would be mindful of this 501.28. It's a weekly level, has both SMAs coming down, so could see the 200 or the 333 depending on the timing of things lining up right there. If the 333 is out of the way by the time we break or test 501.28 and start to, or if we break both at the same time, any scenario where we're over 501.28 and over the 333 simultaneously, I don't see a lot that would keep us from just filling this gap. So I wouldn't really call that as a third price target. I would leave it on here as a kind of a free runner price target. I think a smart third price target is this next weekly level overhead. Could still see some confluence depending on how this plays out. This 333 could flatten out a little bit and wind up being in that same position. Again, really just depends on how fast the price moves in what direction. So overall, this is what our trade plan is going to look like. Just keep in mind there is a gap fill opportunity to the upside. Try to establish at least one, if not a couple, free runners if you can. Green runners actually should be at that point. You should have all your money back and some profits if you're going to test those higher levels. So here's what our trade plans look like. Let me post this link in our YouTube chat. and also the image in the watch lists. So for those watching on Discord, this is going in the watch list. This is our UNH live stream. Probably should have tagged in everyone on that, but it is what it is. All right, let's see. So we had PLTR. I probably already have some levels on this one. Actually, we're right in the midst of a recent trade plan on it. I don't remember planning PLTR that recently, but I guess I did. Chart says I did. Thought it had been longer, further back since I looked at that. All right, and this one does move pretty well during extended hours, I know, off the top of my head. So I guess the real question is, do I see anything here that changes my mind about that previous trade plan that we had in place for it? You know what, I do want to go back and see when I put those down. But let's look at it on extended trading hours. So does this change my mind about the put entry level? I think is the question. I think I may have been a little bit off with this one level. Yeah, that looks really good right there. Is there another level here I just don't have that we should pay attention to? We were in the buying pressure there on Neptune. We were establishing, it looks like we're trying to establish an uptrend. Just trying to figure out if this was a support and resistance move or if this was based off something else. I do kind of see it as a SR level though. Just want to go back a little bit. Let's see if I can get some validation on this 22.95 spot. Apologies for the fast scroll. Going back in time here. Come on. Has to have been in this range more recently than that. No, yeah, it's way down there. All right. This is about the spot I was looking at. If it is, I think I see what I wanted to see. Maybe we do nudge this a little bit lower as far as put entry goes. Yeah, very close to what I was looking at. And again, I was drawing that zoomed out, so I think we do have something kind of floating around right here, at least on the hourly chart. I do like making that small adjustment just based on some of the price action that we've seen since the last plan we did. That makes me think that that's the better entry. Leave our first price target down here at 22.37. Could potentially see it push a little bit lower, but I think it's a smart place to go ahead and take profit. Also, like, whoops, this level is our stop loss average down. That gives us a nice risk reward as well to the downside. So tightening up that stop loss a little bit from where it was from that last trade plan. Does anything else really change my mind here, though? Yeah, I actually would make a couple of adjustments. You could definitely see, keep 22.39 on watch. I mean, it'll be on the chart if you go and look at it. Could potentially find a bounce there. It's not going to be a huge difference in the contract prices. So when in doubt, I kind of shoot one level higher. Sort of similar scenario here too. This 21.72 or 21.39 area. Could really beat either of those levels, but I'm going to shoot one high, up a level essentially. I like PT3 where it's at though. We're going to leave that alone. So that's the downside trade plan. Upside, question is, does it really look good any sooner than this previous trade plan? I don't want to recommend buying right as we're going into the kind of the jaws of the selling pressure there. Also nasty confluence there with that key selling pressure 200 SMA. Chris, one thing I did mention is if you want to post any links for like the Xtrades app or how people can sign up or how people can get to our Discord, that would be good to share with the YouTube folks that may not already be in the mix in our Discord. All right, but I need to nail down, I need to make some decisions here on this Palantir trade plan. I also think I have this level, that was a little high, previous entry level. I think I'm going to stick with it, though. With that adjustment to the downside, I really think that that's probably the smarter, more confirmed entry point. Question is, where's a smart stop loss average down? I think we can stick with it being this weekly level, or use this weekly level, I should say. With a first target, yeah, I think our first target's this 2647 level. Is that about where I want it? Yeah, that's good where it is. All right. I guess I was confirming that for myself. Question is, this is an interesting little area of resistance that I don't have mapped out at all. Gosh, it's going to be like forever and a day going back in time to find. Last time PLTR was up in this range, but I think we need to sniff that out real quick. Part of a gap at one point. Yeah, I like assuming this is still sitting right where I thought it was sitting. Yeah, very close. I like that as a second price target, and I like that as a third price target. So yeah, I would make some adjustments to both plans, but here we go. Here's PLTR. Make sure you give both these, make sure you give your contracts plenty of time, especially if you're going to swing anything with this one. We're looking for, I would say, relative to the ticker price, pretty large moves, but this is what we're looking for. But there's also some tight price targets, so I think that's reasonable. All right. So there is your PLTR. Oh, did I not talk through? I didn't. Oh my gosh. The UNH one? I did. Hang on. I'll talk through that one as well. We'll go through both really quick here. So what are we looking at here on PLTR, Palantir Technologies, to play for the downside, which looks to be kind of the more likely scenario at this point? We're looking for a break below, what is that, 22.99, call it 23 flat. That should give us price targets down at 22.39, 21.72, and 20.57, with a stop loss average down at 23.39. To the upside, we're waiting for a break above 25.50. That should give us targets at 26.46, 27.27, and 28.17, with a stop loss average down at 24.77. Those are your PLTR trade plans. And then let's real quick, I just realized I forgot to kind of talk us through the UNH plan. My apologies for that. What are we looking for on this UNH plan? Well, we're looking for a break over 491.92. That should give us targets at 497.98, 501.28, and 506.02, with a potential green runner only target gap fill up to 512.05. Just keep that kind of in the back of your head, in the back of your mind, in the back of your head. To the downside, we're looking for a break below, what is that, 43.74. That should give us targets at 477.88, 475.01, and 470.52, with the stop loss average down at 487.20. Yeah, okay, just wanted to double check that. Those are your trade plans for UNH and PLTR, and with that, we are inside of 15 minutes before market open. So with that, I want to thank you guys for bearing with me. Again, apologies for the little technical difficulties getting the YouTube stream rolling. I didn't realize that even though it looked like I was streaming, there was one additional button I had to click now that we're doing these through scheduled events. So anyway, apologies for that. But I do want to thank you guys for joining me. We will be back Thursday morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. For those of you watching on our Discord community in that channel, please, please, please take the time to start migrating over to our YouTube stream. That is where we're going to shift our focus before too long. So again, we'll be back Thursday morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. With that out of the way, as we always say here on the FOMO live streams, plan your trades, trade your plans, go out there and get some green. And for those of you in our Discord group, I will see you guys in the chats today. Good luck all. Hope everybody has a great day. See you back here Thursday. Take care.